Let's get some rules to play by.
State Representative Jeff Barker and Portland Police Association President Daryl Turner believe more laws would help quell Portland's protests and force politicians to behave ethically. This week, they submitted 3 initiatives to the Secretary of State's office. Assuming they gather enough signatures, the goal is to get those initiatives on the 2022 ballot. The one making the most noise is tied to the unrest, famously rocking Portland night after night. It's called the Protect Free Speech and Safe Streets Act. The initiative proposes, among other things, banning loud gatherings after 10 p.m. in residential areas and after midnight everywhere else statewide. In a statement, Turner said the initiative would benefit protesters and police alike by establishing a transparent and reliable set of protocols that won't be changed day to day according to the whims of our elected officials. But Lewis and Clark law professor Jim Oleski argues protesters who aren't peaceful can already be prosecuted for vandalism or violence under current laws. Putting curfews on gatherings, he says, is at odds with the First Amendment.
Under this proposal, if people are coming out of a ball game after midnight or a concert after midnight and are outside talking and can be heard a block away, every city and town in the entire state has to enforce against those people. Do they really want that to happen? Do they really think Oregonians want that to happen? And if the answer is no, and then you get into selective enforcement, you can't tell peaceful protesters they can't be out after midnight, but people gathered in front of a bar, they can be out joking in front of the bar after midnight.
Representative Barker, a retired police officer himself, disagrees.
It supports free speech. I mean, people can do that, peaceful demonstrations. If you're going to be violent and commit crimes, then you can't. So I don't see where that would restrict it.
The other 2 initiatives are aimed at politicians themselves. The Ethics in Politics Act would, among other things, require politicians report unethical behavior by their peers. And the End Immunity for Politicians Act would end qualified immunity for politicians, giving citizens the right to sue them personally if they feel negatively impacted by their policy decisions. The state legislature has considered waiving qualified immunity for police officers, too. The pushback has centered on whether lawsuits by angry civilians could bankrupt an innocent public servant. Maggie Vespa, KGW News.